All right, what's up, everybody? So, today I'm just gonna give my little Friday rant, and today I just want to talk a moment about Donald Trump showing up in the Bronx yesterday, like he the hometown hero, and he down with the blacks. And there are probably 1,000 reasons why I personally just found that completely offensive. But I'm just going to lay out a few, right? And then I'm going to share my thoughts about politicians in general and what this all means. So, and I want you to keep in mind that Donald Trump wasn't like the first US president or US presidential candidate that got the bright idea to show up in the Bronx and use the Bronx as a prop for, their own like political agenda that typically doesn't have anything to do with the Bronx or black people in the Bronx or poor black people in the Bronx and what we deal with and go through every day. But he showed up, and I want people to be clear about who Donald Trump is and what he represents for black people. All right. Donald Trump built his fortune, him and his family, right? His dad and him built their fortunes on discriminating against black people. Donald Trump is the one that took out a full page ad in every newspaper in New York calling for the death penalty against the Central Park five black kids that were exonerated for, committing a crime in, Central Park. But Donald Trump called for the death penalty for these kids. And when it came out in the wash that they had not committed the crimes, the crime for which they were, you know, arrested, convicted, and served, many of them the better part of a decade or over a decade for, when it came out in the wash that these kids had actually not committed these crimes, he doubled down on it. So I want you to just let everybody know that Donald Trump is not a friend to black people, right? Donald Trump is the one that during his rallies will tell the cops that they should bang our heads against the door while they putting us in the cop car, right? Donald Trump is the one that in his first day in office signed a Muslim ban. Donald Trump is the one with him and his red hat MAGA wearing like cult Congress members, right? Fought to like reduce like the social safety net for poor people that has a disproportionate impact on poor people and black people living in the Bronx, right? Donald Trump is the one, that put a person in the Department of Education who was hell bent, Betsy DeVos, who put a person in the Department of Education that was hell bent on, abolishing the Department of Education, basically denying, an equitable education for black and brown students living in the Bronx, right? Disproportionately. So don't be fooled, when Donald Trump shows up in the Bronx, the next in a long line of presidents or presidential candidates showing up in the Bronx to pander to black people, right? In 1977, Jimmy Carter showed up in the Bronx, went over to Carpenter Street and pandered to black people, right? In 1980, Ronald Reagan showed up in the Bronx and went over to Carpenter Street, right, to pander to black people. In 1997, Bill Clinton showed up in the Bronx and even got the bright idea, you know, to live in the projects for a couple of days so that he can say that, he somehow knows and understands what black people go through, right? So and not for nothing, right? Despite all the hype, despite, Bill Clinton showing up on the Arsenio Hall show and playing the saxophone, he was not the first black president. All right. So let's just be clear about that. Because what did we get from these people, right? From Ronald Reagan, we got the war on drugs. From Ronald Reagan, right? We got Just Say No. We got dismantling the social safety net, right? Tried to, set us all up like like our women were welfare queens, just trying to like take advantage and like fleece, social safety nets, right? With Ronald Reagan, we got totally ignoring the early days of the AIDS epidemic, and that ran rampant in New York City and in the Bronx, right? Devastating our communities, right? That's what we got from Ronald Reagan, right? What did we get from Bill Clinton? We got mass incarceration. What did we get from Bill Clinton? We got the 1993 crime bill, right? And our current president, he was in the Senate. He's the one that authored the crime bill. So, these people, you know, are not friends of the Bronx, right? And what did we get from Trump? Man, we got jack shit from Trump. And, to be clear, because there are people out there black people out there that think that Trump did something for us by, putting his signature on a stimulus check. And I invite everybody to go back to that point in our history just a few years ago, right? And look at like what that was all about, right? Because if Donald Trump had it his way, we wouldn't have got shit, right? The Congress wanted to, right? The progressive people in Congress wanted to shore up a safety net, right? And give people, roughly $2,500 a month until we can all go back in person, right? Donald Trump wanted 600. They landed on 1,500, right? And just something else to kind of throw into the mix, right? Remember that earned income credit? Remember that child tax credit, right? Donald Trump and his, red MAGA hat wearing Congress, cult members, right, took that away. Man, we were looking at a reduction in child poverty that went away, right? So these people, most of these politicians, mean black people in the Bronx no good, right? And then that extends past the president, right? Because just a couple of weeks ago, we had a governor, right, got on an airplane and flew all the way out to California, went to an AI conference and started taking shots at the Bronx, talking about black kids in the Bronx don't know what the word computer is. But, just to set the record straight, since I'm recording this on a computer, right, we do know what the word computer is. We do know what computers are, right? And for the most part, we know how they work. The problem is we don't have equitable access to them, right? But what it shows is just how out of touch politicians are with the real life experiences that we deal with in the Bronx, right? And the fact that their policies and, their positions do not benefit like everyday people in the Bronx, people struggling, just trying to like make it from day to day, right? But it does benefit some people in the Bronx, and the ones that it benefits are the developers, right? That have, gave us Sobo now, right? And, you go down Sheridan And it's not Sheridan Expressway anymore, it's Sheridan Boulevard. And they developing all of these buildings that ordinary black people that live in the Bronx that have been here for decades can't even afford to live in, right? So let's not be fooled here. So what I tell everybody is November is important. Go vote, but not just go vote. Be an informed voter, right? Think about what these politicians are coming in and telling you, right? Think about the fact that, you know, they'll show up in August and give you a book bag with some school supplies in it. And for Thanksgiving, they might give you a turkey. And Christmas, they'll give you a toy that your kid can choke on. But they're not really changing the law in a way that provides more resources for the Bronx, right? And then you don't see them at all for year after year after year after year until it's election time. And then they'll show up and pander to you and remind you about the book bag that they give you. Or they might even have a book bag drive or a turkey drive, right? Right before the election so that you could see that and be distracted by that into thinking that they are actually doing right by you. Now, I'm not saying that's all politicians, right? But that's a lot of them. And what I would tell you to do is look past the turkey, look past the book bag, look past the toy that your kids can choke on, and look at their voting records. And then take their voting records and match it, right, to what they're telling you and see if they match up. And if they don't, then you should be willing and able to vote for somebody else. Take a chance, vote on a candidate, someone from the community, somebody that's going to commit to do something different. Be willing to give them a chance, but hold people accountable, right? And if a fresh face comes in and tell you that they going to do it different and you give them a chance and they don't do it, then do the same thing. Match their voting record up with their words. And if they line up, then you find more people. But if they don't, then guess what? Bounce them too, right? But at the end of the day, it's your voice, your vote. And, you know, vote. Go out and vote. And, you know, at the end of all of this, if we continue to uplift people that do right by our communities, that commit to do right by our communities, then, you know, we should see some change. So with that, I'm just going to wish everyone a great weekend. I'm going to wish you just a safe and, you know, relaxing Memorial Day. And, you know, if you happen to see or come across a family of a fallen service member, you know, just show them some love and give them some care, right? So with that, I'm just going to say, have a great one, everybody. Until next time, please like, please subscribe. And, you know, I'll see you again next time. Peace out.